Every time you say thank you, you unconsciously sign a psychological slavery contract. Those two innocent words eternally trap you in the debtor position while elevating the other person to master status. While society teaches you to show gratitude, be polite, say thank you, it's actually building a hierarchy system in your soul. You always at the bottom, them always at the top. Machiavelli recognized this trap centuries ago. The person expressing gratitude psychologically drops to an inferior position from that moment and can never return to equal footing again. Saying thank you means you helped me because I was inadequate. You are superior, I was lacking. Every thank you feeds their ego while eroding your confidence. Every expression of gratitude shows them the gaps in your life while putting an invisible leash on you that makes you feel perpetually indebted. And here's the most ruthless truth. Once you fall into this psychological subordinate position, every relationship you have is built on this power imbalance. You're always grateful, they're always the benefactor. You're always receiving, they're always giving. You're always the debtor, they're always the creditor. Machiavelli's savage discovery: gratitude is slavery's most elegant and socially acceptable form, and every time you say thank you, you're adding another link to this chain of bondage. The psychology of gratitude, Subm Machiavelli, understood something that modern society desperately tries to hide. Gratitude is not just politeness, a power transfer mechanism. Every expression of thanks is an admission of dependency, a confession of inadequacy, and a voluntary surrender of psychological equality. When you thank someone, you're not just acknowledging their help, you're publicly declaring that you needed help, that you were insufficient on your own, that they possessed something you lacked. This declaration creates an immediate and permanent hierarchical shift, where they become the provider and you become the dependent. The recipient of your gratitude doesn't just feel appreciated, they feel superior. Your thanks validates their position above you in the social food chain. They've been elevated to the role of benefactor while you've accepted the role of beneficiary. This isn't a temporary transaction, it's a permanent psychological repositioning. Modern psychology calls this reciprocity pressure, but Machiavelli saw it for what it really is, a control mechanism disguised as courtesy. The person you thank now holds psychological leverage over you. They've done something you couldn't do for yourself, and that debt creates an ongoing obligation that extends far beyond the original favor. The hierarchy. Installation SYSTIF thank you installs a micro-hierarchy in your relationship. You've just told them, and everyone listening, that they operate from a position of abundance while you operate from a position of need. They had the resources, knowledge, or capability that you lacked. They were complete while you were incomplete. Hierarchy becomes the foundation for all future interactions. They speak from the position of someone who has given, while you speak from the position of someone who has received. They can reference their help whenever disagreements arise. They can use your expressed gratitude as evidence of your past dependence. Most insidious aspect is that this hierarchy feels natural and justified. After all, they did help you. You do owe them something. Your gratitude was appropriate and expected. But what feels natural is often the most effective trap. The most dangerous chains are the ones we willingly put on ourselves. Machiavellian OBCRVAT. Owen Machiavelli and Machiavelli noticed that powerful people rarely expressed gratitude in the traditional sense. They might acknowledge assistance, but they never positioned themselves as grateful debtors. Instead, they reframed help as mutual benefit, collaboration, or strategic alliance. When a prince received aid from another ruler, he didn't grovel in gratitude. He framed it as a wise decision by both parties, a mutually beneficial arrangement, or a strategic partnership. The help wasn't charity flowing downward. It was value exchange between equals. This reframing preserved the psychological equilibrium necessary for maintaining power. No one was elevated above the other. No one was diminished. The interaction was horizontal rather than vertical, maintaining the dignity and authority of both parties. Modern, powerful people unconsciously follow this pattern. CEOs don't thank employees for doing their jobs, they recognize performance. Politicians don't thank donors, they acknowledge shared vision. Leaders don't thank advisors, they value collaboration. The business BATTLIFIL did in professional environments. The gratitude trap becomes particularly dangerous. When you thank your boss for giving you an opportunity, you're reinforcing the superior position and your dependent one. You're telling them, and everyone else, that opportunities come from above, that you're the recipient of their benevolence. Instead of thank you for this opportunity, try I'm excited about this project, or this aligns perfectly with my goals. You've shifted from grateful recipient to enthusiastic participant. You're no longer beneath them hoping for their generosity or beside them pursuing mutual objectives. When colleagues help you, instead of effusive thanks, try "I appreciate the collaboration" or "good teamwork." You've transformed their help from charity into partnership. You're not the inadequate person being rescued, you're the teammate contributing to shared success. The difference is subtle but psychologically profound. In the first scenario, you owe them. In the second, you're aligned with them. Owing creates obligation and subordination. Alignment creates cooperation and equality. The social manipulation, Machiavelli's gratitude, creates what psychologists call reciprocity debt, the feeling that you owe something in return. But this debt isn't just about returning favors. It's about ongoing deference, continuing appreciation, and persistent acknowledgement of their superior position. People who help you expect not just returned favors, but ongoing recognition of their benefactor status. They expect you to remember their help, reference it in future conversations, and defer to their judgment because of their past generosity. Your gratitude becomes a permanent claim they hold against your independence. This is why some people are always offering help. It's not altruism, it's a power accumulation strategy. Every person they help becomes someone who owes them gratitude, and gratitude is convertible into influence, deference, and control. The most sophisticated manipulators understand this intuitively. They position themselves as helpful, generous, people who are always there for others. But their help comes with invisible strings, attached strings, made of expected gratitude and ongoing psychological debt. The relationship poison in personal relationships. Excessive gratitude can be toxic. When you constantly thank your partner for normal relationship contributions, you create an imbalance where they're the generous provider and you're the grateful recipient. This dynamic breeds resentment on both sides. They start to feel like you're needy and dependent, always requiring their help and always expressing gratitude for basic relationship functions. You start to feel diminished, like you're not contributing equally, like you're lucky to have someone so giving. Healthy relationships operate on assumed mutual value exchange. Both parties contribute, both parties benefit, and neither party is constantly acknowledging debt to the other. Gratitude becomes special because it's rare, not expected because it's constant. The strategic Machiavelli's approach wasn't to be ungrateful, it was to be strategically appreciative without creating psychological subordination. Instead of expressing gratitude that elevates others above you, you can acknowledge value while maintaining equality. That was helpful instead of "thank you so much." You've recognized their contribution without positioning yourself as needy, or them as superior. Good insight instead of "thank you for explaining." You've valued their input without admitting inadequacy or intellectual debt. Useful information instead of "thank you for telling me." You've acknowledged the value without creating a teacher-student dynamic. These alternatives recognize the other person's contribution without diminishing your own status. You're not ungrateful, you're strategically equal. The power preservation. True power requires maintaining psychological independence even while receiving assistance. This doesn't mean being rude or dismissive, it means being careful about how you frame interactions to preserve your dignity and authority. When someone helps you, remember that you're usually helping them too. Maybe they enjoy feeling useful. Maybe they're building social connections. Maybe they're demonstrating expertise. Maybe they need your success for their own goals. Help is rarely one-directional, it's usually mutually beneficial. Even when it appears one-sided. Frame assistance as collaboration rather than charity. You're working together toward goals rather than being rescued from inadequacy. This maintains the psychological equilibrium necessary for lasting respect. The gratitude, gratinet, all expressions of appreciation create psychological subordination. The key is understanding the gradient from acknowledgement to groveling. Good point acknowledges without owing. Thanks creates mild obligation. Thank you establishes clear debt. Thank you so much suggests significant inadequacy. I can't thank you enough creates permanent indebtedness. The further you move down this gradient, the more psychological power you transfer to the other person. Machiavellian operators stay at the top of the gradient, acknowledging value without creating obligation. The social conditioning (RIV) has conditioned us to believe that gratitude is always virtuous and that more gratitude is always better. This conditioning serves the interests of those who want to maintain hierarchical advantage over us. They benefit when we feel constantly grateful for their contributions while they feel no reciprocal obligation to acknowledge ours. Breaking this Conditioning requires recognizing that your contributions to any relationship are usually equal to or greater than what you receive. Your attention, your presence, your participation, your reciprocal help, these all have value. You're not just receiving, you're exchanging. When you understand this, expressions of gratitude become choices rather than obligations. You can choose. When acknowledging someone's contribution serves your strategic interests, rather than automatically subordinating yourself whenever someone helps you. The power paradigm, SHEFT, the ultimate Machiavellian insight about gratitude is this. Powerful people don't feel grateful, they feel satisfied. When something good happens or someone helps them, they don't think I'm so grateful, which implies they didn't deserve it. They think that's appropriate or that works well or good outcome. This isn't arrogance, it's maintaining the psychological states necessary for continued power. Grateful people are looking up at their benefactors. Satisfied people are looking ahead at their objectives. When you shift from gratitude to satisfaction, you shift from recipient to participant. You're not lucky to receive help, you're wise to engage with capable people. You're not blessed to have opportunities, you're strategic in pursuing them. The freedom PROTOCO are breaking free from the gratitude trap. Doesn't mean becoming ungracious or unappreciative. It means becoming strategic about how you acknowledge value without surrendering psychological authority. Recognize contributions without confessing inadequacy. Value assistance without accepting subordination. Appreciate help without creating permanent debt. This preserves your dignity while maintaining positive relationships. Remember, you bring value to every interaction. Your time, attention, skills, connections, and presence all have worth. Most help is mutually beneficial, even when it appears one-sided. You're usually giving something in return, even if it's not immediately obvious. The person who understands this operates from a position of strength in all relationships. They can accept help without becoming psychologically indebted. They can value contributions without devaluing themselves. That's the difference between gratitude and strategic appreciation. Gratitude makes you smaller. Strategic appreciation maintains your size while acknowledging others' contributions. Choose your psychological position carefully, because every thank you either elevates or diminishes you. And in the game of power, even small psychological shifts can determine who rules and who serves.